Welcome to the Saddle Talk Podcast, where country living meets real talk. Authentic stories, meaningful interviews, and down-to-earth wisdom with a little Southern charm. Saddle up!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Saddle Talk Podcast. Today we have a special guest. It's one of my childhood friends. We've been knowing each other since 14. We've been through a lot of thick and thin together. He's one of my best friends, and also I consider him my brother. His name is Walter Yarbrough, and he is a personal injury lawyer outside of Atlanta. He also has his own law firm, which is Big Walt Law firm in Atlanta as well. He's out there doing big things. So without further ado, man, what's up, Walt? Welcome to the Saddle Talk Podcast, man. How you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. Good to see you virtually.
Yeah, I know, right? So go ahead, man. Like, tell me a little bit about yourself, man, and let the people know about yourself, man. How did you get started on your career path and things like that, man? You know, a little bit of background.
Sure. As you know, Travis, we both from Birmingham, and we went up in high school, graduated in 2000. God, no.
No, 94. Yeah.
Yeah, that's almost 35 years ago. It's been so long.
Yeah, I know, right?
Finished Huffman in 1994. We graduated together, and I ended up going to Jacksonville State my first year and transferring to the University of Alabama at Tuscaloosa. Mm-hmm. From there, I ended up joining one of the Divine Nine, Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity.
Yo to the Noops. Yep. He's also my frat brother, so we got to put that out there.
April 4th, 1996 is my crossing date. So we'll be bringing in my 30th year in the frat.
Congrats.
In April. Thank you, sir. And so from there, we had a big line, and several of my frat brothers and line brothers were thinking about going to law school and actually ended up going to law school. And so I think that was really my first introduction into the law. As many of us in the Black community, we don't have a lot of lawyers in the family, so I never had a chance to really see a lawyer, really even understand what a lawyer did other than TV. But I had one line brother in particular who stayed with me one summer in Birmingham. I was a little bit older than him. I actually graduated a year before he did. So I was teaching school in Birmingham, and so he had an internship in Birmingham. He was from Montgomery, and so he needed a place to crash for the summer. And I said, hey, man, just come and sleep on my couch for the summer free of charge, you know? And so he was a first-year law student at the University of Alabama. And so I just really, for the first time, was just really watching how he was moving. And, it was just so new. And he invited me to a couple of functions that his law firm, was sponsoring over the summer. And I said, well, hey, I think this is something I want to do. And so I ended up taking the Kaplan review course, studied for the LSAT, took the LSAT a few times and started applying. First year, I tell you, Trav, when I applied, it's just like college. It's competitive. It's very competitive. So you got students out there making 3.5s, 3.7s, 4.
I already know, man.
And I came out of undergrad with a 3.0, which is pretty good. But for law school, it really isn't. For law school, a 3.0 is really not very high for law school admission. So I got accepted to 2 law schools. One was named John Marshall, which was in Chicago, Illinois, and the other one was Thomas Cooley up in Lansing, Michigan, which was a kind of a liberal. It was like a liberal admissions law school for a lot of students like me who were, we were smart students, we were smart people, but we just didn't necessarily have the numbers that a lot of the, typical law students had. So I went there.
Okay.
It was a weed out school. They would admit, I think Cooley would admit about 600 students first year, and maybe you'd be lucky if 100 of them graduated,
Wow.
Yeah. So I was in Michigan, first time in the North. We ended up getting literally like 20 feet of snow that first year.
Oh, man, I already know. I lived in Illinois, man. So that's why I don't want to go. I don't want to live back up there, man.
Yeah, I got into 3 car accidents. I mean,
Wow, man.
Yeah. I mean, minor accidents because I'd never driven in the snow before. I'd never lived outside of Alabama before that experience. So graduated, I finished Cooley in the top 10% of my class. And so my goal the whole time was to move back south. And so, after my first year, applying for some other schools, and I ended up getting accepted to Mercer, which is down in Macon, Georgia.
Okay.
So I went to Mercer, finished up my third year, and graduated in 2003. So I've been practicing for about almost 22 years now.
That's crazy. Hey, you were a teacher at one point though, right? Weren't you a teacher? Yeah. So
College,
what made you do that? What I mean, like, so did you teach like right after you graduated from undergrad, or did you was that a little bit after college?
after college, as you already know, my mom
Right.
was an educator, and so she knew anybody and everybody in Birmingham school system. So
Mm-hmm.
I ended up substituting. There was a teacher who was out on maternity leave. I think she was having a baby or something like that, and so I ended up
Mm-hmm.
taking her class for the remaining of the school year, and then I actually got a teaching contract at the same school. Shout out
Mm-hmm.
to Glen Iris Elementary School out in south side of Birmingham.
Yeah, because I remember you used to stay in. I remember you had stayed in that apartment you
Yeah.
had over there
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah, so I was in
Yeah.
Inverness, and so I would commute from Inverness over to UAB. Glen Iris is right behind UAB, and so I
Mm-hmm.
was at. So I actually did a full year. I taught fourth grade for 1 year, and so after that 1 year, I just decided that I was going to give up on teaching and go to law school full time.
Okay, and so that's when you went up to Michigan and things like that.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, like so so now what type of law do you practice in Georgia? You're in Atlanta or the Atlanta area or what part of
I'm
Georgia?
Metro. I'm in this city.
Okay.
Johns Creek, Georgia.
Okay.
And it's a suburb of Atlanta. And so, but I lived in Atlanta. I lived in the city of Atlanta for goodness, 15 years. I had a condo in the city. So before I had a child and had gotten married, I was literally in the heart of the city. But as you already know, once you have a kid, everything changes. So I moved.
Oh man.
Yeah, I moved up to the suburbs where I've been ever since. But yeah, I do personal injury law. I do civil. The difference between
Did you always do personal injury law? Because I thought you did. What'd you start off with?
I was a prosecutor. I was a former prosecutor. I was a criminal.
Okay.
Yeah. I was a criminal lawyer for about 5 or 6 years.
So how did that work? What made you like? Did you not want to stay with that, or you just kind of
Yeah, that's a great question, Trav. I mean, honestly, and this is the God honest truth, man. I really just got tired of just locking brothers up, man. I mean, you know, when a defendant gets to your calendar or a file is on, it's too late. I mean, the only option you have is probation or prison, honestly. I mean,
wow.
You can't do community service work while you're a prosecutor. You're sworn as a state constitutional officer, and so duty bound to prosecute for the people of the state of Georgia.
Wow.
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean rehabilitation, you know, even though, I mean, arguably prison and probation is supposed to be rehabilitation, but you can't do community service while you're in the courtroom. So you got to follow.
Wow.
If you see a case, if it meets the elements and you feel like you can get a successful conviction out of it, you don't have a choice but to prosecute the case.
Wow.
And that's a good segue. And a lot of people don't understand how the criminal justice system works. Criminal justice system it's almost like Law and Order. It's the best way to put it. It's a two-headed monster, so to speak. You have law enforcement. Law enforcement are investigators. They conduct arrest. But really, the criminal justice system starts with an arrest. So a prosecutor's office is who law enforcement answers to. So a prosecutor's office will oftentimes give advice to law enforcement officers on constitutional issues, Fourth Amendment, search and seizure, Miranda rights, Fifth Amendment rights to remain silent, all kinds of issues with, so are you going to separate? You're going to try those two together. I mean, can you use one confession against another co-defendant? So there's so many legal and constitutional issues that come up during a criminal case. So the prosecutor, which I was a former prosecutor, what I did was I would actually supervise and oversee law enforcement, even though we were separate offices, but we would be on the same team because I would be the one who would have to prosecute the case and try to get a successful conviction.
Wow, I never even knew anything like that, man.
So ultimately the judge is basically a sentencer. You know, the judge's duty is to sentence. So the law enforcement police officer would conduct an arrest. The case would go to the prosecution, to the district attorney or the solicitor's office to make a charging decision. Are we going to prosecute this case? Are we going to cut this defendant loose? Are we going to seek an indictment? Are we going to seek what you call an accusation? Some charges in Georgia, you don't necessarily need an indictment by a grand jury. You could just, as an officer of the court, as a prosecutor, I can sign what you call an accusation, file it, and that would be just as good as an indictment from a grand jury. That's all. That's
Wow.
for another day. So
Yeah.
the prosecutor would make a decision if you were to be charged.
Mm-hmm.
Once the case is actually charged, it will be placed on what you call a wheel. And all the lawyers out here would know what a wheel is. So the wheel is what the clerk uses to assign that case to a particular judge. And so once
Gotcha.
that judge, and it's almost like going to 10 different states. If you go to 10 different judges, each judge is going to run their courtroom differently.
Gotcha.
So once that case gets on the wheel, you're going to know if you're going to have what you call a hanging judge. A hanging judge is a judge who's going to throw the book at you and throw away the key and give you a
Mhm.
lot of real time. Or you may get a judge who might be more forward thinking and say, hey, I'm more into rehabilitation. I'm more into like substance abuse programs. It's called deferred sentencing, which is
Gotcha.
popular now because there's so many people going to prison. So once that case gets before that judge, the criminal case has already been indicted. So a defendant would have what you call an arraignment. Okay. So
Mhm.
arraignment, see, this is what you call due process. People say what due process, but nobody understands what the hell due process really is.
Right.
So the first thing in due process is you have to be seen before a magistrate judge within I think 48 to 72 hours.
Mhm.
If you're arrested, I think with a warrant, you have 72 hours to be before a magistrate judge. Imagine a judge is impartial.
Mhm.
Me as a former prosecutor, I'm not impartial. I represent the state. So my interest is incarceration, sentencing, conviction.
Mhm.
Offender is more so of release, dismiss, an alternative type of sentencing. So they have an interest of getting their client the best deal or the case dismissed. A judge is
Mhm.
basically going to be a referee, an intermediary. And that judge is going to look at the charge, they're going to look at the warrant, look at the elements, and make a determination if there is probable cause to go forward with that case. If there
Wow,
is
man.
probable cause, then you will have what you call a bond hearing. So the state will make a recommendation of bond, and the public defender will make a recommendation of bond. And at that point, the judge will enter what the bond amount will be. And so
Wow.
once that
You did that for 5 years.
yeah, he did it for 5 years. And so, it's up to the defendant if he can afford to get out or not. If you can make bond, typically a bonding company, you have to post 10 or 12% cash, and then you would have to post property or some kind of surety to be released from jail. If you can't afford it, you're going to be stuck in jail until you're.
Hey, so at what point were you like, you know what, man, I don't want to do this no more. I'm gonna go into like the personal injury side
Yeah.
of law. Like, what was that day where you were just like, you know what,
Yeah.
I think this is gonna be my last time doing this.
I
I want to do another side of it.
That's a good question, Trav. I went to law school with the intention of never being a criminal lawyer. I never wanted to be a criminal lawyer. But, when I came out of law school in 2003, this was right after September 11th,
Mhm.
and so the job market was horrible. So I had to just take what I could get. I was living in Atlanta.
Mhm.
I mean, things were expensive. So I just took what I could get. So I
Mhm.
never wanted to be a career prosecutor, but I think it kind of started wearing on me when you started getting into your more serious cases, like your kidnappings.
Dang, kidnappings. Wow.
Yeah, kidnappings, false imprisonments,
Mhm.
a lot of gang violence, gang murders, that kind of stuff. And so
Mhm.
once you start getting into that and you're sending people away for, 35, 45 years life, you start thinking, it's like, is this really what I'm cut out to do? Is this really what I want to do? So I think
Mhm.
after about a year of doing more of the serious felonies, your higher end felonies, I just said, it's like, this is enough. I'm going to, go to the law firms. And so,
Mhm.
and that's what I did.
So did you have to go back and do more schooling to do the type of law that you do now, or it's just about you just like applying? Because I'm thinking like maybe you probably have to learn like a whole different set of rules and a different set of laws when it comes to injury, as opposed to like prosecuting. Because I know in real estate, I mean, just because you're a realtor, that don't mean you know how to do like, for example, if you're doing you got residential and you got commercial. I mean,
Sure.
you're still a realtor, but it's
Yes.
a whole different set of rules you got to know,
Yeah.
and laws.
Yeah, the answer is no. As long
Mhm.
as you are licensed, if you're licensed by the state of Georgia, by the State Bar of Georgia, you do not have to go and get specialized training to be
Mhm.
a personal injury attorney. But
Mhm.
it's recommended that you know what the hell you're doing. But you don't want to mess this up. So I mean, it's recommended. See, we have what you call continuing legal education, CLE. So
Okay.
you're not required to take a CLE on personal injury before you go into it, but it's probably the smartest thing to do is to probably get you some continued legal education on it before you enter into a field. So tomorrow, if I wanted to do divorces, I could give up my practice and do divorces. Tomorrow, if I wanted to run for judge, I could run for judge if I wanted to. So
Okay.
as long as you are barred in the state of Georgia, the state bar looks at you as competent and capable of practicing any field of law, civil, criminal, copyright, trademark, anything that you can think of, you could.
Okay, so you cover a broad spectrum of law and things like that.
Well, now I'm narrow. I only do personal injury, which is
Okay.
a very niche practice. And I get so upset when people say ambulance chasers and
I've never, to be honest with you, man, I've never heard anybody say that. That must be in the law world, man, because
Yeah.
as a person who's on the outside looking in,
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody
Yeah.
discredit like any type of
it
a lawyer or
minimizes-
anything.
Yeah, it really minimizes what we do. I mean, I tell you, you're dealing with, in some instances, millions and millions of dollars. And,
Okay.
it is very difficult to be a plaintiff's attorney. It really is. Because you got very, very good attorneys on the other side who are being paid by the insurance companies to basically pick apart and destroy your case. I mean, that's what they're being paid for. And so, and they're very good and very smart. Go to really good schools. I almost did that for about 7 or 8 years before I changed sides. So I know how smart those guys are. And so, but it's tough sledding on the personal injury side. And I'll tell you why. I mean, it's very competitive. You got, you got hundreds and maybe even thousands of lawyers who hold themselves out to be a personal injury attorney, and you see them on TV and radio.
Yeah, I see all those. Yeah, I see all of them.
So you're competing with that group to get cases, number one. And even when you get a case, only thing you're getting is a signed sheet of paper. And that's it. They're signing a contract. It's a contingency fee contract. So literally you have your personal finances into that case to work that case up to even try to get a settlement. And you may not even get a settlement for whatever reason. The insurance company may deny the claim, or they may decide that they want to give like a super low offer that your client's not willing to accept. So you're going to have to put more money into the case, getting it into court and, filing a lawsuit and service and, discoveries.
Sounds like a lot of research, man. A lot of, pretty much research you have to do on the person you're representing and then the people that you are going against, man, just to find like loopholes and stuff. What is that like, man? Are you like, say for instance, if you got a case coming up and like say it's like next week or something like that. I mean, are you burning that midnight oil, man? Like, trying to find like certain loopholes or different like holes in the other side's case?
Oh, absolutely. That's what we do. And that's a big mistake that I think that a lot of young attorneys make is you can't take everything that comes through your front door. I mean, because a lot of times those kind of cases come back and bite you in the butt. And once you lose that money, that's it. Because for what we do is just as much of an economic decision as it is a legal expense. So
wow, that makes sense.
Yeah, so you got to screen your cases carefully. You have to screen your cases carefully. The biggest thing that you want to look for on the personal injury side is there insurance? I mean, nobody has 50, 60, 80, $100,000 in their checking account to write a check out. So you got to look for the insurance. So if you're looking for compensation for your client's injuries, you got to make sure the insurance is there. And then you got to make sure that make sure that insurance is going to cover that loss. Is that driver a permissive or an excluded driver? Yes. If he is, okay, the insurance company may cover it. If he's an excluded driver, the insurance company is not obligated to cover that loss. So you're going to have to look at all that stuff on the front end. And then you have to decide, are you willing to put your resources into the case? That's where our contingency fee is so high.
So you put a lot, so in different cases, I didn't know this. So a lot of it is out of your pocket?
Everything is out of your pocket. Unless
really
99.9% of personal injury cases, the attorney, the law firm is going to front the expenses of the case.
Gotcha.
Because most of your clients might not necessarily have the funds to pay to purchase medical records, purchase a police report.
Wow, y'all have to pay for all that? I thought they would just like, I don't know, man. I guess I watch so much TV. I thought you just flash a badge or ID and like, hey, I'm here in such and such representing such and such. I need to see those files.
No, nothing's for free.
Wow. I guess that's me watching too much Matlock and Perry Mason, man.
That's right. Yeah.
I did not know that, man. And I guess you got to build relationships with all those people as well, too, man.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you got to have a good relationship with your client. You got to have a good relationship with the opposite side, because on the opposite side, hey, they're going to be the ones going to cut you a check. So I'm
really?
Absolutely.
Wait. So like the people you're going against, they write you a check? Like
your insurance company will write you a check.
What if they win? Or I mean, if you lose, or if you, I mean, how does that work?
Well, that's a good question. It's all about risk. What I do for a living and what everybody in the personal injury space do, what we do for a living is evaluate risk. I give you an example. Say, for instance, I'll call her Sally, and Sally is the actual client. Sally is a fictitious client.
Okay.
Say, for instance, Travis, I represent Sally. And Sally, let's just say Sally is 70 years old. She's a retired school teacher. Say, for instance, she is maybe widowed. Say, for instance, Sally was coming home from church one day, and Sally gets rear-ended by a tractor trailer driver. Who's driving an 18-wheeler, he brakes hard, but his brakes lock up and he rear-ends the back of Sally's car. Say Sally gets out of the car, causes an accident. Say, for instance, Sally luckily is not injured. She goes to the emergency room. They do x-rays. They do CT scans on her. They do imaging. We call that imaging. They do a lot of diagnostic tests on her, some imaging work on her. No fractures. She's 70 years old. The doctor comes back and says, hey, okay, she's got a couple of herniations in her lumbar, which is your lower back. Herniations are basically like a disc bulge, like bulge. It's soft tissue. It's like a soft tissue type of injury. It's not a fracture.
Gotcha.
Sally's in a lot of pain. So Sally calls my law firm to hire her. The trucking company says, hey, Mr. Walter, kick rocks. She went to the emergency room. She wasn't really injured that badly. We'll give you $50,000. We'll give you $35,000 to go away. Say, for instance, Say, for instance, Sally subsequently goes to a chiropractor, orthopedics, and she has let's just say she has a $50,000 bill. So all of her bills totaled are $50,000. So pre-suit, the adjuster for the insurance company is going to say, not a lot of damage. Her medical bills are inflated. We'll give you $35,000 to go away. I tell Sally, Sally, the insurance company is offering you only $35,000. You got to pay my fee. You got to contend with these $50,000 of medical bills you got to deal with. So I recommend that we go to court, because I just don't think that the $35,000 is going to be enough to settle. So we go back and forth to court. My firm would have to front all of those expenses. Sally's on a fixed income.
Gotcha.
She's only receiving a pension. She's taking care of her 3 grandchildren. She doesn't have the money to pay for a lawsuit and pay for the sheriff to go out there and serve them and pay for the depositions. Each deposition would run about $700 a piece.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
So fast forward a couple of months, we filed the case into court. Now the trucking company, they have to go and hire a law firm. The trucking company can't go into court and represent themselves because they're a corporation. So they go off and get a big, fancy silk stocking law firm, and
silk stocking.
That law firm is charging the trucking company, say, $300 an hour, a billable hour. So say, for instance, 1 hour of work for that law firm, they're going to charge that trucking company $300.
Wow. And this case can go on for like 3 or 4 weeks.
Right. So the defense, they're charging $300 an hour for one lawyer. Then they might charge maybe $150 for the paralegal. And then they might charge $150 for an associate. The associate is going to be your entry level attorney. So you're going to have a partner on it for $300 an hour. You're going to have the associate on it for $175 an hour. And then you're going
to. So that's $470.
Yeah. And then you have the paralegal who's not an attorney. She might go $75 an hour. So each hour, you can see how it builds up.
Yeah. Wow.
So now, all of a sudden, I haven't gotten paid a thing. Now, say, for instance, we go through the discovery process and we come to find out that trucking company has $1 million of insurance. So now, all of a sudden, I'm looking at it as like, well, hey, we want to get as close to that $1 million as possible. The defense attorney is looking at is we want to be able to get repeat business from this trucking company. We want to get this settlement number as low as possible. So
Gotcha.
we litigate. That's what we do in civil practice. We litigate the case. And when we go through the litigation process, each side, me as a plaintiff's attorney and the insurance lawyers, we're going to basically evaluate the strengths and weaknesses on each side. I'm going to have weaknesses. The weaknesses that I have is that low property damage. She only has 50,000 in specials. She was hurt, banged up, dinged up, but she's fine. She's hurt. She might have a little bit of pain, but it's nothing that requires surgery or it's nothing that's going to debilitate her for the rest of her life.
Right.
Like an insurance company is going to look at it as like, well, hey, we got a grandma here, retired school teacher. She's going to be very sympathetic looking in front of the jury. We got this big, obese truck driver who's 300 pounds, who's rear end of grandma who's coming home from church. So they don't want to get those facts in front of a jury. And the insurance company is looking at it like, damn, we got to pay $700 every hour for these people even work on the case. So before the insurance company is looking at it like, well, I got to pay $35,000, $40,000 a month to this to this law firm. So everybody's got their eggs in it. And you got to keep in mind, I haven't even been paid a penny yet. I haven't been paid a penny. In fact, I'm spending money.
Wow.
Everybody's getting paid except for me and Miss Sally. So what we do is we try to work the case up and get it ready for trial the best we can, and then we try to get the thing resolved. It's not going to settle for $1 million, but it's not going to settle for 35 either. So maybe 8 months down the road, the lawyer from the insurance company say, hey, let's try to get this thing done. Everything is on the table. We've heard what the doctors have said. We've heard what Sally has said. We've heard what the truck driver has said. Let's come up with a number. What is a number that we can use to go away to make Sally happy and everybody can walk away with their shirts on?
So, and during this 8-month span, they still paying the $700 an hour?
Absolutely.
Man, that is astronomical, man. Like, wow, 8 months. And I mean, like, is it a regular, like 9 to 5, or is it just like, okay, you worked on the case 3 days this week and you were off this week, so we only paying you for these 3 days, or a total of the hours for those 3 days? Or is it like 8 to 5 every week for 8 months?
Yeah, that's a good question. What you do is, as the lawyer for the insurance company, you're going to keep your time. So you're not going to bill that trucking company for a bathroom break or a lunch break.
Right.
You're going to only bill that time for the actual work you do in the case. Like, say for instance, you're prepping for a deposition. Say for instance, you're responding to some written discovery interrogatories. Say for instance, you have a client meeting, you have a strategy meeting. Those are the things that are all related to the case. Those are the things you're going to actually bill for. But it adds up.
Gotcha.
It adds up. You can easily prepare for a deposition for 4 hours. You can prep for a depo for 4 hours. You can prep for written interrogatories. You can do those responses. It might take you 6 hours. So it adds up. And then you got to have the partner to review it, who's making $300 an hour. He's going to review. He's going to talk strategy. So it adds up very quickly. It really does. And so for me, the problem for me is I'm not getting paid. You see? So only way I get paid, I take a contingency fee off of the settlement. That's how personal injury attorneys typically get paid.
So now switching gears a little bit. So now how did all of this, like all your experience, man, you seem to be you're very knowledgeable, man. I'm actually shocked the same way when Johnny was on. I'm not saying that y'all are not smart or whatever, intelligent. I know that you all are good at what you do and you all are very successful, man. It's really inspirational. But just like when you and Johnny was on, it's like this is another side that you don't really see all the time, because usually when we all together, we joking and we laughing and we playing around. I'm pretty sure if we sat down and I told y'all what I did, y'all would be like, oh wow, man, I didn't know that you did all that. But so how did all of this, man, transform into you starting your own law firm, which is Big Walt Law? Is it Big Walt Law Firm or
BigWaltLaw.com? That's it.
BigWaltLaw.com. So how did this transform into you starting your own law firm?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. You answered some great questions, Travis. And I tell you the answer. I'm just going to kind of give some context to it. I've been practicing 21 years and, we grew up together. Literally, man, we were in and out of each other's houses for 40 years.
Yeah, I know, right? Spending the night and all that, man.
Yeah. My folks just, what I'm saying? It's almost like we family.
Right.
So our parents' generation, I can't speak for everybody and I can't speak for your mom, but I can speak for my parents. It was always beaten into me and my sister's head was go to college, graduate, go get you a good job.
Yeah, same.
Get you a good government job. Hold on to your job. No matter what, hold on to that job. That is so wrong. It was just that advice was just so wrong. And so,
agreed, man.
I think after practicing as many years as I did working, you realize that you can, man, I've worked in some beautiful buildings. I mean, buildings that could be like on a doggone Tom Ford magazine. I mean, I've been in deposition. I mean, just the most beautiful buildings and architectures you've ever seen. I've been in dinner parties and galas and stuff, and it's just...
Oh, I already know, man. Working with Ralph Lauren and being in the real estate, man, I've seen some like some very elaborate occasions.
Right, but at the end of the day, you start realizing I'm an employee. I'm an employee. I am still an employee, and I am not the boss. And there's a chain of command, and if I get out of line, all of it is gone. So yeah. And so after, and so I really was going to start my practice on my own in 2019. Had money saved up. I was ready to jump on out there, but then COVID hit.
Yeah.
Nobody was driving. I mean, the whole state of Georgia was literally shut down for 2 years. I mean, there's nobody driving. So I just really just kind of gritted my teeth to try to get through COVID. And then shortly after COVID, around 2023 is when I started my own practice.
So now, and how's it doing really well? I mean, how's it doing now? Like, do you got like a staff or is it just you?
Yeah. I've exploded. This year, probably over the last 4 months, I've just exploded. I mean, you do good work, people come back to you. It's, I tell you, and I think this is in any business, Travis, I think that you have to get over the fear. The initial fear is the hardest thing, is just leaving.
Oh man, tell me about it, man.
I think that's the biggest fear, is just to realize everybody's got bills. How am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to take care of my child? How am I going to take care of myself? How am I going to pay these cars? Student loans. Once you get over that shock, and I think that's what keeps so many people tied to these 9-to-5 jobs.
Yes, man. Yep.
But once you get over that shock, I really feel like you're going to go through a lean about a year, in my opinion. About 8, for me, probably longer, because I get paid on the back end. I don't get paid on the front end. I get paid on the back end when the case settles. So it takes about a year, maybe about 16 to 18 months. And then you start seeing the money come in. And I've gotten to the point where I'm so busy now, I've hired 1 full-time staff, and I got an office manager, and I'm actually about to hire a 2nd full-time staff.
Hey, man, you said a whole mouthful right there, man. I tell you what, man, like my wake up moment, man, happened a little bit before COVID. You know what I mean? It was just kind of like, here I am, like, early 40s, and I'm just kind of like, I am asking somebody else for time off. Like, why am I, and don't get me wrong, man, I'm making like good money, but at the end of the day, man, I'm still an employee who have to request time off. I'm like, why am I asking permission to spend my time? And then it can be denied too, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially if we have a big event, man, like, the industry I was in, a big event, or it's something like that, because the people you work for, you represent them. So you might have to be there. And I was missing a lot of things with my kids, man. You know what I'm saying? And then it was just kind of like, you know what, man, I do need to go out on my own. So I kind of started this whole platform the same way, man. It's just kind of like, I want to be able to leave my kids something so they don't have to like go through all that or whatever. And you're right, man. Our parents grew up in a different era, where their jobs stay there for like 40, 50 years, then retire. You might get a pat on the back and a gold watch or a pen that say, thank you for your service or whatever and stuff like that. Because my grandfather, same thing. He worked in the coal mines, man. My mom, she's a retired professor. My uncle, everybody, they had those jobs on to the end. But I think our generation is more a little bit like, you know what? I want to build my own and leave a legacy. Like, I used to, when I would go to work or whatever, and I would put all these hours in at RL. At the end of the day, that is not my name on the company, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? They can phase my position out or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I think that fear, people are like, well, how am I going to get paid? Well, your job is not guaranteed. My grandfather used to say, job means just over broke. You know what I'm saying? Because at any day, they can come down and restructure and they can terminate everything, and you still in the same way. You're in square one.
That's right.
So that fear, you're right, man. That fear is like the main thing that keeps people kind of like stuck in that hamster wheel, man. I was just kind of like, you know what? I'm getting off this hamster wheel, man. Forget that, man.
And I tell you something I've learned, and I'm gonna be 100% honest. I've been doing a lot of taxes now, with my business. The government and the IRS benefits business owners.
Oh yeah.
You get trade and business write-offs. You can write off about 25% of your home for a home office. I'm actually about to try to get into a lease. I'm about to lease a vehicle. If it's over 6,000 pounds, you can write off 100% of that lease. So the IRS is really set up to benefit business owners.
Right. Yeah. Because you're help stimulating the economy because you're hiring people. And when you hire people, you can pay them. And when you pay them, they're going to buy and spend spend into the economy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I encourage anybody, and I'm not any braver than anybody else, but I think I just came to the point in my career where I just said it's either now or never, but you got to be smart. You can't be, this ain't the movies. You got real life problems, real life issues. You got to figure out how you're going to pay for health insurance. You're going to pay for your mortgage. So, you got to be careful, but you can do it. I feel like people can do it. If you're on these people's jobs for all of these years, obviously you're capable in your area. So why not do whatever it is that you want to do on your own? Cut out the middleman.
Yeah.
That's the way I look.
You're right about that, man. That's what I tell my son now, man. I'm like, start now. And I'm like, you're probably going to have to get a job a little bit, but don't make that be your end goal. Look at it as you're getting paid to learn how to do a service or whatever you're doing or whatever job you're doing. You're getting paid to learn that process. So then eventually you can go out on your own, man, and create something for yourself. You know what I mean?
That's
so
exactly right.
It's just kind of like, I totally get that 100%, man. That whole fear thing holds a lot of people back because you get comfortable, man. And everybody thinks that just because you get paid every 2 weeks, like, oh, okay, that's what I need. But you might not get paid every 2 weeks anymore, man. You know what I'm saying? Like at any day and time, man, because it's been a situations where I was at one company and they phased that whole part out, man. I was in the finance service like in early 2000s and things like that, man. And like they doing when Obama and when Bush and when Obama became president, they phased that whole sector out, man. So I was just kind of like, man, what am I going to do now? You know what I mean? Because I had put all my eggs in thinking that was going to be secure for a long while. And that was kind of like sort of my wake up call. But then again, it's just like, situations happen. Then my son was born. So I was like, now might not be the right time to go out and just like step out on my own or whatever. Because he needs some milk.
That's right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you're right about that, man. You got to be smart about it, man. Yeah. And you got to make sure you just make sure you're doing everything smart and you have emergency money saved up, man.
Exactly.
A lot of people don't really have that, and a lot of times it's not that you don't do things or you can't afford to do things. You just want to make sure your emergency money is solid, because that will take you further than a lot of people will realize, man. So what kind of advice would you give to like young lawyers or young people wanting to get in law or young people just coming out of law school?
Yeah, I think that there's so many lawyers leaving the law. I was reading some statistics. I think like 35-40% are leaving the law after 5 years or something to practice. I think people need to understand what the law is before they go into it. It's not a 9 to 5. It's a profession. And my professor said it when I was in law school, and I'd never forget it. He said, the law is a jealous mistress. And what that means is that it is all consuming. It is all consuming. If you have a trial, you will literally be at your office maybe 12, 13, 14, 15 hours a day in prep for trial.
Will you do that?
Oh yeah, I did for sure. When I was a prosecutor, absolutely. In my space, we don't really try a bunch of cases, but when I was a prosecutor, oh, absolutely. We were doing that every 6-7 weeks, So my advice for young lawyers or people thinking about becoming an attorney, I think you need to have a real sober conversation with yourself deep down and look yourself in the mirror and just say, hey, is this something that I really want to do? If you want to be a traditional person and have a 9 to 5, or have the kids be able to work from home, law is just not going to be for you. You're going to work long hours. Most lawyers don't get paid very well. You get a select few that are wealthy and, that are, high, super high earners. But I would probably say about 85% of attorneys are not well paid. I mean, they're paid well, but they're not high earners like millions. They're not going to make 650 a year, 850 a year. You might get making 100, 120, maybe 130, 140. So if you're going to do it for the money, don't do it. Find something else to do it. And I also understand that you're going to come out of school with a lot of student loan debt. You're going to probably come out with about close to about $150,000 in student loan debt. And so if you're not 100% committed to it, if it's not something that you really want to do, just choose something else, and nobody will judge you for it.
Yeah, you're right. You can be successful at anything you put your mind through. You just got to be smart about it. Well, tell us about Big Walt Law. Like, how can they get in touch with you, man?
Yeah.
Like, what services do you provide and things like that?
Sure.
And I'm gonna do a clip for you on this, and I'm gonna have everything like description and stuff like that.
Sure.
But like, yeah. So tell like all your services you provide and how they can get in touch with you.
I do 100% personal injury. I do anything. I've had a dog bite case. A guy was walking his dog and got mauled by a pit bull. Settled that case a couple months ago. Mostly car wrecks. Most of my bread and butter is car accidents because most negligence comes from car accidents. I got several slip and falls, a couple people falling at grocery stores, gas stations, that kind of thing. I got a couple of product liability cases where a lady was climbing up on a ladder and the ladder collapsed from up under her and she shattered her knee and had to have a couple of knee surgeries.
Wow.
Yeah. Got another one where I got another product case. It just slipped my mind. The ladder, a bench. The guy was sitting on the bench at a music store and the bench collapsed from up under him and retore a meniscus that he had already had a surgery on.
Really?
Yeah. So I do mostly car accidents, tractor trailer accidents, slip and falls. I'm thinking about getting into workers' comp, which are work related accidents where you're injured on the job. I'm typically referring those out, but I've met a really, really good lady who does workers' comp. So I can shoot those cases over if you ever get injured on the job. So that's it. BigWaltLaw.com is my handle. I'm working on my social media. I got a young lady doing all that. I got to start doing my posts. I'm just so busy. I don't have time to.
Yeah, no, I get it, man. Like with this podcast platform, and I see why people have a team, man.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm in the process of getting ready to hire some people, man, because it's a lot by yourself, man.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But one thing about it is doing a lot of this by myself. When I do bring other people on, I know what needs to be done and if it's right. And like, I know the lingo and things like that. So, I could tell if somebody's slacking or whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, that's a good thing about being your own boss. You can hire and you can fire, and
yeah, you're right.
You have to let some people go because your money is your money, and
right.
If you got somebody slacking and you're paying them, I mean, that's just going to be a quick exit, you just, and it's nothing personal,
No, it's nothing personal. Yeah.
And I think that's what so many people have to understand. And, in the business world is that this is not personal. It's just business. And,
right.
You got a brand, you're standing by your brand, you want to grow your brand. And if somebody's getting in the way of that, you're just going to have to go separate directions. It's just that simple.
So basically go to Big Walt. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. If you go to if you need Walter's service, it's bigwaltlaw.com and it'll take you to his website and you can find out everything you need. And I'm pretty sure it'll guide you through like, the necessary pages and things like that. So you can get the service you need. And he's based out of Atlanta, Georgia. So,
and we service the entire state.
Okay, yeah, the entire state of Georgia. I mean, I was thinking about a conversation that we all have. Like, are you thinking about doing anything in Alabama? Because me with real estate, I'm thinking about branching out in Alabama myself.
I am. Yeah, we have what you call reciprocity. So the state of Georgia, state of Alabama have reciprocity with each other. So long as you can.
But right now it's just Georgia, though.
Yeah, I was licensed in D.C. Back in 06, 07. I was going to move up there. That didn't come to fruition. So I retired.
Okay.
I retired that bar membership. But yeah, I am certainly thinking about joining Alabama State Bar. I think we need more minority lawyers in the state of Alabama. I really do. I think that state is very underrepresented with minority attorneys.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure, like I said, once again, this is Walter Yarbrough. He represents BigWaltLaw.com, and that is a law firm outside in Georgia, and they deal with personal injury. So if you need any services, make sure you reach out. And Walt, man, it's a pleasure having you on the show, man. It's a long time coming.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think I'm going to start doing like some mobile podcast episodes, whatever. So I come down and we do like a day, a day at Walt Law Firm and things like that, man, to get a deeper dive and stuff like that,
Absolutely.
man. But as I always tell everybody, man, make sure you keep it country, keep it cowboy, and God bless America, man. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, sir. All right, Travis.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Yep.